Stephen Asiimwe is now with me, CEO of the Uganda Tourism Board. Thank you so much for making this happen.
Pleasure, and it's been long in coming.
We've had so much fun in the past few days here. If we could, we'd stay here forever.
No, there's still a chance they can stay, actually. It's an open check.
There's an open check.
Yes.
We can just stay here forever.
Sure.
Listen, you have an interesting story you told me.
Yep.
So there's a famous Kenyan family, which is also a famous Ugandan family.
Yeah. Yes, this is the Awori family.
Yes.
They are just on the border between Uganda and Kenya. And they had a large compound. And one side of the home happened to be the borderline. And the other side, one family.
So one home was part of the home was in Kenya?
One side of the house was in Kenya, and another part of the home was in Uganda.
Right.
And so what happened was that at the time of independence, the two families were split right in the middle.
Right.
So the Kenyan side was a young man called Awori, and
who went on to become Kenya's vice president.
Went on to become Kenya's vice president. And the other side of Uganda was a young man called Awori.
Yes.
Who went on to become a presidential candidate
in Uganda.
In Uganda,
yes.
And finally a minister at about the same time. But what's more interesting was that there was a time when you needed permission to come to Kenya and vice versa.
You needed permission to come to Uganda as well.
Yes, so what happened was if Agri wanted to visit Mudi, he had to go 6 hours to Kampala to get permission to visit his brother Mudi on the other side for 30 minutes, and vice versa for both of them.
So Mudi had to go to Nairobi,
yes,
to ask to visit his brother in the next house.
Remember, this is same mom, same dad. So it's funny about these colonial boundaries.
Wow.
That was the sad part. Now the easy part is you don't need all of that. You just need an ID to cross.
And that's the thing which maybe people don't realize. The border does not exist.
Yeah, it's imaginary.
It's an imaginary border.
Yes,
and it's very easy for citizens of these countries to move back and forth.
Absolutely, yes.
And that's the other thing why I'm mentioning this is a lot of the places we've been to in the safari lodges, like the Para Safari Lodge, which we'll show you a little later, and all these other places, the East African rates, which apply to Kenyans, Ugandans, Tanzanians, etc.
Yes, absolutely. It's a very interesting phenomenon. For a long time, we charged differently. I remember even visiting some of the neighboring countries, you needed a visa. Now you need an ID. Interconnectivity rates on telephones were very expensive.
Right.
Now we've harmonized them. We used to cross the borders up to 6 o'clock, and then if you are there at 6:01, then you spend the night at the border. Now it's 24 hours. And recently we started something called the one-stop border post,
right,
whereby you don't need to cross to both borders. You only cross one, and so a lot of things are happening.
And tell us why Kenyans should come visit Uganda.
That's a good story. First of all, I think we think that the Kenyans got lost. It was one country called Uganda, which some colonial guys came and cut
and put a line in the middle.
Yes. But I think that we are one people. Same weather, same people. We have almost similar, we have same people on both sides of the border. The Teso, the Gisu, the Jaluo, the Kalenjin, we have what we call the Sebe, the Sabine. You remember in the last Olympics before this one, the first guy, the gold medalist was at the marathon.
I was there on the streets of London, and I saw him pass.
Stephen Kiprotich. I
still remember his name.
Number 2 was another guy, then number 3 was another Kiprotich.
Yes.
Two sides, same language, different flags.
Yes.
So I'm really thinking we need to be one country. And I think that there is so much similarity, but yet there is their uniqueness, which is different, which makes a case for visiting differently.
Right.
We usually laugh about the story of Migingo or Mijingo.
Yes, because we call it Migingo.
We call it Mijingo.
Which we don't understand.
Exactly. We don't understand why you call it Migingo, but same rock, but the way we pronounce things is different. But having said that, I think that there's Kenyans, we have over 500,000 Kenyans coming to Uganda. So we consider Kenyans as the largest inbound visitors of any other country.
Right.
Similarly, we have more Ugandans coming into Kenya
than any other country.
But mostly for trade, and probably the younger generation are coming for education. There's so many young Kenyans going to school in Uganda.
Yes.
In fact, where I stay, in Bunga, we're very close to a university called KIU. And the
Kampala International University.
well, they call it Kenyans in Uganda. And what's very unique about it is that the president of the Students' Union, the Miss University,
Yes.
And many of the councillors are
all
actually Kenyans in Uganda.
Wow.
But the thing is that Uganda is a very, very unique country, and I think many, many Kenyans should come here for the simple reason that we have 50% of the entire African bird species
Wow.
are found in Uganda. Kenya is 1.8 times the size of Uganda. Almost 30% of the country is covered by water. We actually have islands in Uganda, the largest number of islands on the Lake Victoria.
Right.
Good food, good people.
Amazing food.
And I think that there are things that we do that Kenya needs to. Similarly, I think that many Ugandans need to go to Kenya.
All right.
And I think that cross-border visits, education, and the bit about our culture is something that Kenyans need to see.
We have learnt it, and we have really loved and appreciated this. Thank you so much once
Pleasure.
again, Stephen Asiimwe, CEO of the Uganda Tourism Board.